Goals. Some love them, some hate them. But what if the problem isn't the goal itself, but where we put our attention? What if the secret to finding alignment with your goals isn't in the destination at all, but in the falling in love with the journey toward them? Stay tuned. We've been talking in this series about the different ways we find energetic alignment through our identity, through regulating our nervous system and emotions. And today we're exploring another doorway into alignment: what happens when we shift our attention away from outcomes and toward the process of getting there. Because here's the thing about goals. The goal itself, the number, the milestone, the achievement, it's actually the least interesting part. I mean, think about something meaningful you've accomplished in your life. And when you think about it, what do you remember? Probably not the moment you crossed the finish line. Well, maybe that's present too, but you probably remember more about the moments along the way. The small breakthroughs, the unexpected turns, the times things clicked into places in ways that you never anticipated. The destination is a dot on the map. The journey is the whole territory. Now, shortly after graduate school, I boarded a plane with a former teacher. Both of us headed to the same conference. And once we'd settled into our seats, he said something that really stuck with me ever since. He said, "Well, we finished the first third of our trip." I looked at him a little confused. He smiled and explained. "The first third," he said, "is the planning and the anticipation, usually the best part. Then comes the trip itself, generally pretty good, but rarely as vivid as the anticipation. And then the return home, the last third, which is often the least satisfying of all. All you have left is the memory." I thought about that a lot in the context of building a business. So much of our energy goes into imagining the destination, the revenue, the recognition, the version of the business that exists fully formed in our minds. And we treat that destination like the prize, like alignment will finally show up once we get there. But what if alignment isn't waiting for us at the destination? What if it's only ever available right here in the process? Here's what I see happen with so many entrepreneurs. They set a goal, let's say a revenue target, and from that moment on, their attention is split. Part of them is doing the work. Another part is constantly checking whether the work is producing the right results fast enough. They're never quite fully present. They're doing the thing while simultaneously judging the thing. That divided attention is exhausting. And it's a form of misalignment. You're here, but your energy is somewhere else, in a future that hasn't arrived yet. Now, I had a client, I'll call him David, who was a consultant building a practice from scratch. Smart guy, excellent at his work. But every conversation we had really circled back to the same anxiety. Was it happening fast enough? Was the trajectory right? He was so focused on whether the graph was trending upward that he'd stopped being curious about the actual work. And that's the word I want to stay with for a moment here: curious. Curiosity might be, the most underrated alignment tool that there is. When you approach your business and your goals with genuine curiosity, something shifts. Instead of asking, "Am I hitting my numbers?" you start asking, "What's actually happening here? What's working and why? What surprised me this week? What did I learn about my clients that I didn't know before? What new possibility just showed up that I hadn't planned for?" Curiosity keeps you present, and presence brings alignment. David and I did an experiment. For 1 month, instead of tracking his revenue projections, he tracked his discoveries. Every week he'd write down 3 things he'd noticed or learned about his clients, about his process, about himself. And the result? He stopped dreading the work. He started getting genuinely interested in it again, and not coincidentally, his business started to move. Because the energy he'd been bleeding into anxiety went back into engagement, into presence, into doing the work well rather than just doing the work fast. There's a real difference between being attached to a goal and being oriented by one. The goal you're attached to is a source of pressure. Every week is a verdict. Every slow month is evidence that something is wrong with you or your business. Your nervous system is constantly braced. A goal you're simply oriented by is like a compass heading. It tells you which direction you're moving without demanding you arrive on a particular schedule. It frees you to be fully here in this conversation, in this email, this piece of content, this client session. Trust that presence and quality will compound over time because they do. We'll talk more later in this series about how alignment shows up through consistency, through the cumulative effect of just showing up and doing the work. But I'll say now, the entrepreneurs I've watched build something real and lasting are almost never the ones most rigidly attached to their targets. They're the ones who got genuinely absorbed in the process, who stayed curious, who found the work itself worth doing. Purpose still matters here, of course. Knowing why the work matters gives the process meaning. It's the reason you chose this direction in the first place. But purpose is the backdrop, not the daily driver. What actually moves you through your days, what keeps you in alignment moment to moment, is your relationship with the process itself. Whether you can be present with it, whether you can be curious about it, whether you can find it genuinely interesting rather than just instrumentally necessary. The shift from tolerating the process to actually inhabiting it is where alignment lives. So here's my invitation to you this week. Pick one goal you're currently working toward and notice how you've been relating to it. Are you present with the process? Or are you mainly focused on whether you're hitting your numbers? Try shifting your attention. Get curious. Ask yourself, what's actually interesting about where I am right now? What am I learning? What's surprising me? What's unfolding that I didn't expect? Let the goal give you direction, but let the process be where you actually live. That's where alignment is, not at the finish line, but right here in the work itself. My name is Paul Boehnke, and if you find it difficult to let go of the goal and live in the process, I'm here to help. Just reach out at the contact info in the description below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, I wish you abundance and joy.